Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today, this is Sunday Comics. Just give me a chance to wake up. My wife and I stayed up last night eating pizza. We watched. You're gonna laugh at us, but we've been watching Family Matters with Urkel. Did I do that? My wife was like, "Let's watch something wholesome." Getting tired of all the violence and sex and nudity and everything that's on TV. So as I said, I never watched Family Matters. So a couple of months ago, we started watching, and then whenever we can't think of anything else to watch, we watch Family Matters. Paradoxically, we also watched the first three episodes of the newest season of Emily in Paris. I don't know. I love that show and I hate that show. So there you go. The conflicted sides of John Longbox. My wife got some pizza. She got like a crust and then like put sauce and cheese and everything like that. So it was like not really homemade, but not really. God, my glasses are all old. Can't seem to clean them. So that's what we did last night. It was fun. Thor the cat came down, and it was funny because we were playing a game like, "Come on, Thor, come to me," and my wife's like, "No, come to me, come to me." So he would jump up on me, let me pet him for a couple seconds, then go sit on mommy's lap. He knows who feeds her, so he ain't stupid. So it was a pleasant, relaxing night. Uh, we're on season 7 of Family Matters. The other good news is I have a dehumidifier in my comic book room, and it's got a built-in pump. So I hooked the pump into the waistline, and it. So I just turn it on, check it every once in a while, and I noticed about a week ago it wasn't emptying. What's going on? It's raining here. It's definitely humid. Why isn't this freaking thing emptying? So I get too stubborn. I'm not manually emptying the bucket. That was my job as a kid. Every day after school, I'd run home, empty the dehumidifier in the basement, and I just, and if that thing turned off, I'd get yelled at. So I just like hate dehumidifiers. So I'm like, when I get my own place, it's gonna have a pump, blah blah blah. So it worked for 2.5 years, and now it stopped working. So I took out the bucket manual clean, and it was filthy. It was filled with whatever forms in it. I was like, oh man, I haven't cleaned it in like 2 years. So I cleaned it, peroxide, scrubbed it all out, put it back, and then it promptly filled up in like 2 days, and it wouldn't pump again. I'm like, oh man. So I was like livid, livid, and then I turned, opened up the dehumidifier, cleaned it all out, did everything, and it still wouldn't empty. I was just beside myself. And then I read the instructions, and after something like that, you got to unplug it, let the pump reset, plug it back in. Now it works. Ta-da! So I'm in a good mood. The dehumidifier is working again. Yay! I just heard it empty just as I was getting the ROM comic. So that puts me in a good mood. Men are simple. Men are simple, ladies. So what do we let's talk business. I always filibuster a bit before we start. First I gotta acknowledge we got a new member, RRTNZ. So he's from New Zealand. He's been messaging me. He's very happy to have discovered my channel, and I'm very happy that he discovered my channel, assuming it's a he. So I drink my Tim Hortons coffee in your honor. Delicious coffee, so good. And thank you. Oh, let me turn it. I think I need a little bit more light there as I knock everything down. There we go. That makes the comic a little bit more visible. So thank you, all the way from New Zealand. And he asked if he could come on when we talk about the elementals, to which I say absolutely. It's just to coordinate our time from New Zealand to New York. If you're listening, RR and RR, I'm just gonna say RR. If you're listening, RR, tell me what time in Eastern Standard Time you are available, and I will. I'm off work right now, so of course, my broken neck, I'm free. So if I like to talk to people, it'll be fun. Never mind this link. I hit the wrong thing. It'll take you to some Kickstarter analytics. But this is the only link that we're talking about right now. It's my crowdfund. It's my Kickstarter. It's Heroic Tales. It's on Kickfunder. The Fund My Comic has been funded successfully. Let's do it real. Oh, we got some sales here. And this is the only way to get Heroic Tales for now is right here on this. And Kyle Prometheus just sent me a wonderful, wonderful trailer that I'm going to use for the Indiegogo. So good. But right, yeah, you get the Renzo cover, black and white cover. The back cover is the front cover. But this is what I consider the gem. This Michael T. Gilbert cover. Oh man, I love this so much. I'm not going to say it's my favorite cover because that's really, really tough. And most of you haven't seen the Mike Gustovich cover, which I spoiled. I showed that in the closeout party. If anybody wants to go to the end of the closeout party, it's spoilers deluxe. Spoilers deluxe. Go a video I made Friday night. It's like 5-hour video. I don't blame you if you don't want to watch that, but watch the last 20 minutes. It's spoilers deluxe. I show the original art for this. So there you go. I love this. And I got to put up the next card. So we have 4 cards revealed. 4 cards revealed. Will we make it to the other 2? And will we make it to the bonus card? That's for you guys to decide. So that's taken care of. Counting. We got Marcus. We got Felsbug. I don't know. Felsbug is just fun to say. I don't know. Felsbug. For apropos of nothing, there was a series of children's books that I used to get from like first grade to like third grade when I was in school, and it was just I wish I could remember the series of. But there was always a little guy who would draw a little gold bug, a little bug that was colored gold, looked like a beetle. And that was just like the thing me and my friends did. Every page we'd have to find Goldbug. It was like, where's Waldo before Waldo? So I don't know. Whenever I see Felsbug, I think of Goldbug, and I remember first, second, third grade. This was your favorite comic as a kid? Oh, cool. Yep. Only Marcus, you got half the work. Half the work. I'll give you half the pay too. My wife watches Bones. Dr. Leonard McCoy has his own show. Zach Town with the blessing. Good. How you doing? Did you enjoy Battle of Kegs? Right here. I'm going to read it right after this. Sunday is Read Comic Books Day. Sunday is Read Comic Books Day. So I'm going to read it. I'm going to read. I'm really caught up in this. I'm trying to make it to Fantastic Four 400 because I realized that I was missing 8 issues. I was missing 371 to 378. And a lot happened in those 8 issues. So I didn't like up to 400 and beyond of Fantastic Four because I missed such integral information. And it just, to me, it made no sense. It was disjointed. Well, when you miss 8 issues, you realize. So I reread it and I loved it so much. I'm like, I'm going to continue. I want to continue, And, so there you go. So I did not read Battle of the Kangs yet. It's short. I should just throw it on next. Felsbug is saying, Hale, how can so much good comic material made for such an awful I've been saying this for a while. This comic is better than it deserved to be. The toy I wasn't too excited about. I didn't particularly care about the toy. I used to call it the in-action figure. It wasn't articulated. I think it had shoulder joints, but I didn't particularly care. ODF reasons Bill Mantlo and Salvage were amazing talent. Oh yeah. Oh geez, you responded to Old Dirty Fatty. 2 reasons: Bill Mantlo and Sal Buscema were amazing talent. Yes. I promise I didn't have a stroke. I had to leave the closeout before that. Oh, okay. So Marcus, you'll see a whole bunch of spoilers. I talked for 3 hours and 42 minutes. At the 3 hour mark, I was like, goodbye, everybody, blah, blah, blah. And then some somebody talked me into a spoiler, and then the last 42 minutes is spoilers deluxe. Art, whatever. Artists with a bit of integrity can make some great art. Yes, absolutely. Gustovich is the Justice Machine. Yes, and he's also the cover artist for the third and final variant cover for Hero Tales #1. The Bug from the Fells. I had a bizarre dream last night that it was the future, and I was living on Mars, and like we were like kids that were like, wouldn't it be great to go to Earth? Wouldn't it be great to go to Earth? And it was like like it wasn't like Earth was uninhabited. It was just like, like us in America. Like, wouldn't it be great to go to Europe? So I don't know why. Paul Ryan did a really good job on the FF. Yes, he did. He did. Yes, Marvel Legends is doing a new ROM figure, and I'm so tempted. I'm so tempted to get the toy Bug is back. Marvel. I know. It's funny because I didn't even realize that it was a typo until I saw that. Our brain fixes a lot of typos, which is why you need an editor, because as you read your scripts, you gloss over the typos because you know what they say. Logic is here. Morning, everyone. Rob Spaceline is one of my absolute favorites. Cerebral stories and never wavered on that. The Dire Rouge. Rom and Micronauts. Yes. I was tossed up between this and Micronauts, but I really want to save Micronauts to when Kelsey reemerges from the swamp for Two Beards, One Comic. So I need to regrow my beard, and somebody needs to go into the Louisiana Bayou, go through the waters with the cattle prod and disturb the slumbering giant. They're Dire-Wraiths are good bad guys. It's gonna be rough. My voice is already going out. And Baz is saying hello, Mark. So I'm all caught up. We got 15 people watching. As normal, I always like to filibuster a little bit at the beginning. Yeah, nobody has heard anything from Kelsey. I know that there's an illness in his family, which is probably more than I should have said. So I hope everything is okay. We believe it or not, I talk to people. I care about people. You know what I mean? But I don't have his phone numbers. We would message back and forth, and sometimes when we shut the camera down, we would talk like one night we talked like 2 hours. So I know that there's every family has situations. I don't want to say drama, because drama is made up nonsense. Kelsey has real situation in his family that he needs to deal with. Dire-Wraiths were related to the Deviants, I think. Yes, the Dire-Wraiths, if I remember correctly, were this is like deep comic lore, is that the Celestials would go to all intelligent races and do experiments on them, and they did the same experiments all over and over and over again. This is one of the geniuses of Jack Kirby, is that the Celestials originally were angels in Jack Kirby's cosmology, and whatever they became in modern Marvel, I can't even have, but they were these gigantic angels, and they would come to Earth, and they would create gods and demons, a sample of humanity, and make them perfect. Those are the Eternals. And then they would take a sample of humanity, or whatever the intelligent life is on that world, and make them monstrous. And then, as good scientists, they would leave a control group, and then just stand back and watch. On Earth, the control group became the dominant species. That's humanity. The perfect ones became like the gods of mythology, and the monstrous ones became all the devils, monsters, and what have you of mythology. Now, on the Skrull world, the Deviants became the dominant ones, and they bred so much, and that's the origin of their shape-changing powers. So, the Eternal Skrulls were killed off, and the regular Skrulls were killed off. Although I do recall somebody made a story of a couple of Eternal Skrulls, which I think is just so cool. Now, the Dire-Wraiths are the same thing. The Deviants won and became the dominant force of the Dire-Wraiths. Don't think Kelsey has a phone. I think he only has a landline. I don't think he has a smartphone or an iPhone. Interesting. Oh, I jumped. I don't recall the I think you were a race who used magic. Yes, that's another thing, is that the dire wraiths are sexually dimorphic, meaning the males and the females are so different you wouldn't even recognize them as the same species, which is something that I find so fascinating. You better believe I have an alien race in Heroic Tales, if I get to it, that are so sexually dimorphic. You know, it's you won't recognize that they're the same species. But the males, they look like puffy little Pillsbury Doughboys, but the females are like these monstrous looking, alien looking sorcerers. It's really cool, really good villains. And I love that the X-Men, for like a good period, became superhero dire wraith hunters. It was really cool. Need to go. These hold up. These hold up. That sounds more interesting than what we got in that bad movie. Yes, yes. The Elementals movie fundamentally got the Eternals wrong. They fundamentally got them wrong. Who among these people are better thinkers than Jack Kirby? Name one person that had. I'm sure there's a grip someplace. I'm sure there was like a electrician someplace or a caterer that grew up reading comics and was biting his tongue. But although a word I hate, creatives, ruined Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby is world famous. He to me, he should be as famous as Michelangelo and the great Renaissance people. It's like taking a Michelangelo work and then updating it for modern audience. Nobody in their right mind with it. Why would they do that to Jack Kirby? Well, the MCU Disney people did. I was, it's not right. It ain't right. It's a damn dirty shame is what it is. The Dynamics with female control the race and have all the magic. The males little warriors, but the female. Yep. I was pissed what they did to. I was pissed what they did to the Eternals. Okay, RJ Williams is here. Good night, everybody. See ya. RJ Williams is here. That means it's time to shut down. All right. Thanks for coming. All right, so let's actually open up the comic. So don't leave me. Don't leave me. That's funny. I like that. I've been around long enough to have inside jokes. I was just on Twitter. I set my alarm for 9:00 on Sundays. Wake up, do my 1 hour announcement, and then scroll Twitter like a lunatic. And somebody said all YouTubers eventually hate their audience. Well, I don't hate my audience. I love my audience. This is a proxy for hanging out at the comic store. I don't hate the guys at the comic book store. I miss the guys at the comic book store. I miss going to the comic store every Wednesday, or back it used to be Fridays when I was a kid, and then just hanging out at the comic book store and talking comics. Oh my God, that was like my favorite thing of the week. So this is how I get to do that. So I don't hate anybody. I only hate Hitler. Okay, so let's look at some of these. The Eternals film is the name of that film that nothing to do with the Eternals. Yep, every way. Yep. Kirby is a once in an entry, once in an eternity. Yeah, I know what you meant, Felsbug. Hell, Marcus. By the way, if we meet, you're probably going to get a hug. Ooh. Now I'm nervous. No, I'm from an Italian family. As long as you don't pinch me on the cheek, we're cool. My Aunt Josephine used to pinch me on the cheek. And I know it's mean. She's been dead for 20 years. And every time I think of her, I shudder. Oh, man, it just hurt. I know it's just an old Italian lady thing, but I hated it. Oh, God. Hug is fine. Just don't pinch me on the cheek, please. Which means people are going to stop pinching me on the cheek. It isn't even for modern audiences. That was the 1930s, and postmodernism was 60s. I shouldn't even be trying. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to call what, but out of all the MCU movies, the Eternals got the biggest done. The Eternals were done dirtiest, even more than Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel movie, yeah, the Eternals, they were almost bent beyond recognition. And the Eternals is supposed to be the Eternals are the perfect example of multiculturalism, diversity gone to the super extreme, where it's funny. in that the eternal, the excuse me, the deviance is the furthest extent of individuality, where each individual is basically their own species, and because of it, they're just insanity. You know, it's the constant warfare that, you know, it just shows you that like a multiculturalism doesn't work. You have to have some sort of a cultural and ethnic and whatever identity. You know, that it doesn't have to be based on race. It doesn't have to, but the deviance is just constant warfare and destruction because of individualism to the nth degree. Paradoxically, you know, I'm an individualist, you know what I mean? But I do recognize the need for a cultural identity. But the movie just had the deviants, they just had the same computer model for the same thing. They totally destroyed the deviants, which totally destroys the Eternals, and then the Eternals were it was just the worst. Yes, and this is a Frank Miller cover. Frank Miller cover. I'm trying to see if it says Frank Miller. And this I didn't do. There was a period where the comics came like this. So let's check out. Let's finally open the comic. Let's open the comic. So this is bizarre in that this splash page is also the advertisement that you would get in other comics. So this, if this looks familiar to you and you don't have the comic, that's why. Is it too dark? Do I need? Is that a little better? How about if I turn this light? Is that a little better? I know it makes my face head glow, but look at this. No I was gonna say no credits. Bill Mantlo. Bill Mantlo is very important to me as a kid. Not only did he write Rom, but he wrote the Micronauts, which I just freaking loved, the Micronauts. And then he went and wrote one of the worst runs on Alpha Flight. Not just Alpha Flight, but one of the worst runs in comic book history in Alpha Flight. Unbearably bad. So, and then if I remember correctly, Bill Mantlo got hit by a car. I don't know if he was a pedestrian or if he was driving, and he got a traumatic brain injury, and he lived the rest of his life in a hospital. I don't think he's still alive. He might still be alive. And rumor has it that he was like abused by a male intern, like beat up. So like men couldn't visit him, and only like nurses and his daughters could come visit him, because he was just, what a tragic end to a great. Now everybody's depressed. But anyway, just look at this. So we get this comet meteoroid just lands. Oh, Sal Buscema. What can I say about Sal Buscema? Oh, Mantlo was rollerblading. Is that what happened? He was rollerblading when he got the traumatic brain injury. Okay. I don't know why that makes it better. We got Tom Orzechowski, letterer, Bob Sharon, colorist, Joe Duffy, editor, and Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief. You know, you see a lot of Jim Shooter comics here on my channel. I can't really move the easel. So we got Rom just standing there, majestic and glorious. Note, he's not saying anything. A car comes, and here is the first human that he makes contact with. And the car, he's just watching. Car moves out of the way, and he's a hero. He grabs the car by the bumper and puts it back. And then I love this. It just looks like an alien monster. This thing just starts glowing. And what is this? This is the energy analyzer. Rom, the toy, came with like 3 what is the word? Accessories. The energy analyzer, the neutralizer, and like this big translator device. So, you know, I had to put it in a comic. So it transports them from like subspace to his hand, and it analyzes. Don't hurt me! Don't. This poor woman is freaked out, and you don't know what's going on. And she's like, "I'm alive. He didn't do anything. What's going on? What is this? It's a scanner. This is how I scan comics. Okay, put it into my database. Okay, I was blocking the easel. And then we have this Bubble Yum ad that Every time I see it, I just get a wave of hatred. I don't know why. I irrationally hated this to the point I would just get mad. I would get mad, mean mad, fight mad, mean. I don't know why. And then from now on, I'll flip the page, address the comments. These rockets fire in the back. And Brandy is just like, oh, thanks a lot. Space alien landed, did some damage to my car, and I'm fine. And now we cut to Clairton, a small West Virginia city. I don't know why I thought it was in Colorado in my memory. Population 14,000. Everybody's friendly. Everybody's happy. It's the kind of town I want to live in. Hello, Harvey. How's business? Fair to middling, Arthur. Hot enough for you, gentlemen? That's what I want. That's just nice, friendly neighbors. And then, you know, they all got that Sal Buscema face, you know. And then what do we got? We got Rom, the Space Knight, just shows up. Now, this is pretty shocking. Okay, so I'm going to put the comic right there. You could already see what's going to happen, but let's address the comments. The individual is the atomic human, the soul, the binding block of family, but family is the building block of society, which is held together with culture. Pretty elegantly said. Elegantly said. We're getting deep here. Instead of church, we do Sunday comics here. Alpha Flight struck me as a cheap X-Men knockoff, like the West Coast Avengers and the New Mutants. I didn't like the knockoffs. I liked Alpha Flight when John Byrne did it. The first 24 issues or so, it had a unique flavor, unique spin. But I didn't realize it until years later that there wasn't many team stories. Like Alpha Flight was just like stories about individual superheroes who just happened to be on a team under John Byrne, at least. It's always a pleasant surprise when you're not fried by glowing alien energy. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I hate when I'm just reduced to cinders by alien energy. Yeah, John Byrne created Alpha Flight Justified. Yeah, they were supposed to be a one-off team, but let's face it, they were cool. They had cool names, and then John Byrne drew them awesome. John Byrne is awesome. Logic. Wouldn't you agree? So this alien shows up. It was, you're right. Am I mistaken that it was daylight? They don't really. Yeah. Maybe it's you know, that kind of looks dark, but now it's space. So Rom brought the space with him, and I loved it. How did he track us here? You know, I love one of the tells. Sal Buscema always has one of these tells. The bad guys always have like like a Sal Buscema scowl. You know, they like they got what's the opposite of poker face? You know, they got the opposite of poker face, and this energy neuralizer just shows up. Energy analyzer shows up, and it's just scanning everybody. Because it's the energy analyzer. It will not harm us. It'll only reveal the truth. And then I love, like, Rom, you know, he's got this emotionless visage. So they need to have like visual cues. So it's like smoke. And then boom, this other weapon shows up and just murderizes them. I don't care what the comic says. This is just, look at this. Boom. And I love the sound effects. Squeak, squeak, bam, bam. Multiple attacks. And just blast them. Please, we beg of you. How horrifying is this? Now, just imagine you're a West Virginia barber. Hey, Floyd, how's it going? My barber pole. And then, blam, this alien shows up and then rips you apart. I mean, look at the debris. They die screaming and then just left piles of ash. You know, saints in heaven, he disintegrated them where they stood. Mike Collins and Perry Sykes dead. The robot's a killer. The abject terror of the population flees. There's no telling who would kill next. Run off the streets. No one to say. What an entrance. What an entrance. You know, it's just bloody murder. This is a horror comic. You know, that's terrifying. I used to have a copy of this. Used to have a copy of this 40 years ago. Yeah, good comic. And you can get them in dollar bins. And it's good to see Dan Alshaw. Good to see. I recognize the name, but I think it's been a while since I've seen you before. The inversion and destroying the family and making work anti-human started in the the Industrial Revolution. Yeah, starting to revisit that. Sal's art is so good, Rob. Though body language he shows raw. Yes, yes, and like it's smoke and light. Straight panels, no overlapping or slanting. Yes, still, yeah. I hesitate to use the word basic, but it's not try hard. You know what I mean? It's just classic draftsmanship, pure talent. The rich oligarch banking Methuselahs have books dating back to the 60s where they want essentially Brave New World and Gattaca and dissolution of the family and the state and make people. That's Service Vero, the Rorschach of my chat from Tubes and the state will be the parent. Yep. Hey, Dave Brink is here. How you doing? Didn't ROM start out as some sort of toy? Absolutely it did. It started out at what was it, Mattel? Was it Mattel? They just made an action figure and then said, let's make a comic, and they had the 3 accessories, and I think Marvel just ran with it. So that's why Marvel was able to use the Dire Wraiths. Marvel created the Dire Wraiths, where Mattel just had ROM. And that's why it hasn't been republished in so long, because Mattel had the rights. To the point, later on, they made a 5-issue series with ROM's 2 sons, and it was called Space Knights, but they couldn't use ROM. Yep. Hey, Shadowhawk Talks. Shadowhawk Talks. There's always a faction. Guys, we gotta keep our individual freedoms and bodily fluids. Perfect 10. Yep. Make sure we get Perfect 10 by Dave Brink, one of my favorite comics coming out right now, superhero comics. Parker Brothers. I know I always say Mattel because Mattel makes toys, but Parker Brothers made board games, so I always get them mixed up. Think Transformers was the same toy first? No, Transformers was a long time later. So here we got ROM just murders people in the street. We got the advertisement over here. Oh, what channel is this? ABC. So this was channel 7 in New York, or I think anywhere in North America, right? It was a network, a national network. Plastic Man, Mighty Man, and Yuck. Mighty Man was this little small, he was like a miniature Superman, and Yuck was the world's ugliest dog. And the problem with Mighty Man and Yuck was it was the same joke every week. He would fight somebody, Mighty Man would, get his hands full, and then Yuck would lift the doghouse, and you'd only see him from the back of the head, and you'd see these wiry, stray hairs, and he was so ugly that the bad guy would be like, and that's how it was, like the Voltron sword. That's why I didn't like Voltron. It was always the same thing. Got it, and I love this. Nobody believes me when I bring this up, but here we got. This was the Rickety Rocket. It was Bill Cosby's comic, cartoon. Like, it was like a superhero comic for black people. It was the Urban, as they said. And it was like these guys in the ghetto went in the junkyard and built the Rickety Rocket. And it was like a piece of crap rocket, So that's what black people like, right? Black people like black pieces of crap. They couldn't have the guy from Yale. They'll identify with this. This is what identity politics gets you. As I sneeze. Well, I got to sneeze. Scrappy Doo. Oh, God. And Spider Woman. The only person who ever told me this was good was Brian Bow. He loved this cartoon, and I watched the first episode. And I got to say, if you're a fan of the female form, watch this cartoon. All you young pervs. So let's look at this. So now Brandy Clark, the woman who he rescued, is just like, why did you save me? And then you violently murdered these other people. Rom grabs her by the hand. Rom, you ain't making friends too easily over here. You ain't making it nice to explain yourself. You grab Brandy, and then everybody's freaking out. The mayor, cop is by the window, and my scanner turned off. The stereotypical Wicked Witch of the East over here is working the switchboard. Oh, what year is this? 1979. Okay. 1979. I was going to say, what still had switchboards? Guess they did. Not quite the Pentagon. You know, we got the bad guy whose face is in shadow. You know, they're all in cahoots. I mean, it's understood that these are all dire rates. I mean, in retrospect, we all know they're dire rates, but at this particular moment, we just what's going on? Like, Rom's supposed to be a good guy, right? They wouldn't make a comic book about a bad guy. You know what I mean? That's the way you're supposed to think. Like, what's going on with Rom? And now, are you going to kill me? You're going to kill me? And then the third of his contraptions materializes. And this analyzes her language and translates this. Now, this is the biggest BS in all of comics. This is just like editorial decree saying, you know, explain, and I'll explain my thoughts after this. But why didn't you speak before? And why did you murder those poor townsfolk? Those I neutralized were not humans. You're mad. I've known those two men for years. I went to high school. Nonetheless, they only appeared to be human. And they might dwell unsuspected among your race, and they're the enemy I seek, the dire wrath. Listen, woman of Earth, and perhaps you will understand after I tell ... So here is the backstory, the lore. This, you know, this is now going to turn into godlike. It's going to be splash pages with nothing but exposition, lore dump for the next couple of pages. Okay, so let's scroll back. Wow, a lot of comments. HR, hello, Sal Buscema, and I'm here. Oh, good to see you. Good to see you, HR. I recognize the avatar. So you've been here before. Thanks, Joan. You carry stuff in your brain for half a century. Oh, yeah. Transformers started out as a toy concept. Okay, I missed a comment. Dan is right. Transformers were a toy in Japan first. Then the animation of Marvel Comics came after. Then the toys came to. Oh, okay. I knew that they started in Japan, but I didn't know that the comics came out first. Oh, okay. Okay. And they say comics weren't inclusive back then. We got laughing at Dan. Don't laugh at Dan. Just reread Rom after I got the omnibus. It was better than I remembered. Yeah. I don't know why, but about 5-6 years ago, I reread all of my Rom comics, and I was happy. I really, really enjoyed them. You know, there was a couple of stinkers, but you know, geez, how many comics was it? Did it go to like one? Marcus, how many comics did Rom last? Some pretty decent old shows started out as glorified commercials for toys, but the older ones somewhat, yeah. G.I. Joe was that cartoon comics was just toys. And let's face it, half the stuff in Star Wars was just so that they could make toys. Art has always been progressive, inclusive, woke for a long time. It erodes the moral fabric of society by promoting moral. I don't. You're making it sound like art has always been bad. I don't think art has always, because to me, progressivism is bad. You know, we're constantly progressing towards something that can't exist, a utopia, and a utopia by definition is no place. So progressivism to me is a race to destruction, and you know, so if art has always been progressive, then that means art has always been bad. I just can't agree with that. This is Big John Brothers work. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I got back up over here, and I got back up over there. I found out that a lot of these Saturday morning cartoons were created. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's why they had one season of 35. Yeah. Which is why, like the Gargoyle show, I think transgressed that, because it was such a good cartoon. Now Greg Weisman's kind of a jerk, but back then it was. This is just how aliens say hello. You know how else aliens say hello? By backing my comic on Kickstarter. We got Pity Ma over here. We were just talking about Pitfalls yesterday with John Dexter. The writing in Rom Space Nine is so good. Yes. And we're going to show you how an info dump, how our lore dump is done. I think we got really spoiled back then with John Sal's work, Byrne Perez reels. Yeah, absolutely. You want to know how I can prove? We can prove this. We can prove this because I hated this run. I hated the Tom DeFalco, Paul Ryan run on the Fantastic Four. And I bought 371 to 378 because I was missing them just to be a completionist. And then I had them over here on my stack of comics for, I'll say, over a year. And every time I got to them, I would just pick them up and stick them underneath and read other stuff first, because I'm like, I don't want to read comics I don't like. And then finally I was just like, just read it, just get it over with. And they were excellent. And I did my first Comics Great video on that run, because I felt like I needed to apologize to the comics, to the run. I'm like, this was so much fun. And then I'm like, shows you how spoiled I am that I didn't like these, because I was used to like John Byrne, George Perez. You know what I mean? It's how, so absolutely cannot agree with this anymore. There was a general rule against killing in comics for a certain period. Yes, and I'm going to address that. You're jumping ahead of what Ron read for 75 issues. Okay, I thought so. I was going to say 125. I knew it was art can either be bad or good. It's been weaponized for long. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Everything is a tool. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. You should look into the psychological warfare. Yeah, the CIA. I was going to start talking about it, but I can't wait to see if RFK is put in charge of the CIA. G.I. Joe is a big example. A lot of stuff is propaganda and to sell materials for bread circuses. Yeah. Take notes on storytelling, Melon. You said it, not me. Because when I said it, I got 2 weeks of an attempt of cancellation. And because of that, the Barbara Streisand effect really helped me out. So cancel me, buddy. So here we got the lore. Are you ready? The lore. Oh no. And that's how you do comic books. You're waiting for the lore. Boom, hit you with an ad. You got Gene Simmons over here, a guy that I used to love, Kiss. And then after that whole get vaccinated, you're my enemy, die in a hospital, blah, blah, blah. I haven't listened to a Kiss song since. I don't know about you, but when you're a fat, chubby kid, these look like chocolate chip cookies to you. So here we got the lore. The Legend of the Space Knights. Oh, okay. One thing I love is this camera is you can move it in any direction. It's really, really cool. Right. Madeline never read this comic. He starts with Liefeld. Yeah. Not a fan of Liefeld's work, but I'm a fan of Liefeld, the man. I feel like I owe Malin, not Malin. I don't like John Malin. Didn't like him before Godlike. He's just a big phony pretender. I'm an alpha wolf. And then I read people's private messages for super chats. You're nothing but a scared little boy. A real alpha wolf doesn't behave like that. Okay, there's good and there's bad in a lot of art, sometimes even within the same place, like technology. Yep, it's a big bag because humans are a mixed bag, fallen but still in God's image. Okay. Yes, Rob Liefeld. Rob Liefeld is the most popular positive force for comics. Him and Mark Miller, they are like the twin towers of comics right now. So now we got, I don't care what anybody says, these are objectively bad spaceship designs. I first noticed that Sal Buscema was terrible at spaceship designs when I read his was that Gene Colan? Now my memory's playing tricks on me. Who drew the first Captain Marvel? That was Gene Colan, right? Or was it Sal? Marcus will know. But anyway. And now we got the Galadorians. So the Galadorians are exploring space, and they're cool. They're cool because they got a white guy in charge. We got a black guy. We got an Asian guy. They're cool. They're diverse. They're progressive. They're living in racial harmony, singing, Ebony and Ivory throughout space. And all of a sudden, they encounter this horrific looking race. And they're horrible because their face is blocked out. Oh, I'm not even showing up. Their face is blocked out by shadows. So, and they got cool alien technologies, orbs with mists and stuff. Not gold, clean, open spaces, but like cramped darkness and orbs. This is all evil. And they just attack from the dark nebula. And what do? They're just fighting, and somehow they summon this. What do they call it? Abject horror from the creature of oblivion, the Deathwing. They call it the Deathwing. So they summon this Deathwing that just wipes out the Galadorian Starfleet. They're just evil. So I love this from get go. These dark alien evil beings were hinted at sorcery. Just awesome. 2 pages. 2 pages. We got everything we need to know. Galadorians are good. These unnamed dark nebula invaders are evil, and they mess with dark magic. Excellent. And we got Mighty Mouse with the word Mighty Mouse written on his chest in case you didn't know it was Mighty Mouse. Bugs Bunny Roadrunner, Popeye, Fat Albert. That's really weird that Fat Albert is no longer shown on TV. I haven't seen. Whatever happened? Why isn't anybody have any reason why Fat Albert is not on TV anymore? And the Cosby Kids. It's weird. Jason of Star Command. It was actually live action. It was people in bad costumes, bad acting, and I loved it. Oh my God, did I love this? It was terrible. And this was awesome. The Tarzan cartoon. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. The Batman, A Hero's Time, and the Freedom Force with ISIS, and then 30 minutes, because that's what children want on Saturday morning. Is they want the news. They want the news. 30 minutes of news. That's what kids want, right? You sit there with your tricks and your Lucky Charms and a big old spoon, and you want the news. So before I turn the page, let's all Dale is shocked at what I said. Logic's finest. Liefeld can't draw human anatomy, can't write a speeding ticket, horrible writing like his other Image buddies. Great guy. Absolutely. I just enjoy him. You know, I've made my feelings clear. I just like him. You know, Gene Colan was the one who did the Captain Marvel. Okay, so Gene Colan and Sal Buscema are horrible at spaceship designs. Gary Shipman, how you doing, Gary? How's everything? Gary, you sent me a link to a PDF. I did not check it out yet. I'll check it out today. Sundays are usually my sit in this chair and read comic books kind of day, so I'll check it out. Just let you know that I did notice that you sent me stuff. I think I responded. I try to respond to everybody, and then I forget if I did or not. Does anybody do mechanical spaceships like Jack Kirby, still glued to his? Yeah, Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby was awesome. Let me take my sip of coffee. Go to make sure spaceships are space-o-dynamic to reduce space there. Yeah, I remember when I realized that you didn't have to make spaceships aerodynamic, and it really opened up some cool, to me, as a child, designs. Deathwings are amazing evil creatures. Yeah, a lot of lore in 2 pages. Hey. Of course, I know. It's just my running joke whenever I see an ad for the Cosby. I also love Captain Courage ship from Joe Kubert's Hawkman ship. I don't recall what it looked like. Cosby got a gig doing Jello pudding pops. Yeah, the show is unfortunately named ISIS, which also affected the cartoon Archer. But it's still an Egyptian god. Used to love watching Fat Albert and Heckle and Jekyll. Yep. Marcus, that ISIS show looked cool when I was a kid. Rewatched a few. It's not as good. Yeah, a lot of these cartoons were not as good as we remember them. I'm going to go on record and say that I still to this day hate Scooby-Doo. You know, I'm talking about the original, you know, late 60s, early 70s run of Scooby-Doo. It was just stupid. Made no sense. Now, I will accept the idea that I haven't watched it since like the first run or so of Scooby-Doo. I think the last Scooby-Doo I watched were like when they would have guest stars, you know, like the Harlem Globetrotters and, you know, stuff like that. So I do entertain the idea that maybe they wrote them better later on. But, you know, I as a kid, I hated them and I moved on. I've always been like that. when it comes to entertainment, boom, I'll cut it out real quick. That's why I have no problem with Star Wars, because Star Wars is 3 movies. I didn't like the prequels. Everybody forgets how poorly the prequels were accepted. We hated the prequels so much that George Lucas washed his hands of Star Wars and sold it to Disney. It's our fault. It's our fault. So, and now that the sequels are even worse, I'm not going to pretend that the prequels were any good. There's 3 Star Wars movies. The number reached being 3. 4 is not to be reached. 2 is not the number unless preceded by 3. 3 Star Wars movies. They lived on the Ewok planet in peace and harmony, and Luke had to sit there and watch his sister and his best friend propagate and have a good life, while Luke and Chewbacca just foraged and got old. That's what happened in Star Wars. So there was no salvation in flight for the Galadorians. The creature enveloped their ships, filling their hearts with horror, their souls with a numbing darkness, even as the chill vapor of its breath stripped the very flesh from their bones. This is a freaking toy. This was a Parker Brothers toy. And Bill Mantlo is talking about unspeakable cosmic horror, dread. The Deathwing is sucking out people's souls. From a freaking toy, a toy called Rom. Some guy was like, "Hey, Rom, make a toy called Rom. Yeah, he's got an analyzer. He's got a neutralizer. He's got a translator. Yeah, Rom." And now Bill Mantlo is just turning it into cosmic horror. It's just awesome. So now the Galadorians like, we got to do something. We got to do something. We don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. So Rom, Space Jesus over here, he raises his hand and he volunteers to be the first in an experimental line of new warfare. They're knights. So he gives up his humanity, and each person becomes their own spacecraft. They get enveloped in Galadoria, I think they call it, and it's like a magic metal, and they get the humanity removed from them, and they turn into space knights. Now, they originally show that they all look basically the same. That of course changes later. And the space knights go out and they fight the dire wraiths. And because of their small size relatively to the ships, they don't rely on a crew, and only the best psychologically or take it. They fought the space knights. And what did Rom? Rom, because of his inherent goodness and humanity, was able to fly through the Deathwing and just punch out and destroy the Deathwing. And again, the Space Knights looked basically the same originally. And now the dire wraiths scattered throughout the galaxy, and now he's just, because of his deathless state, because of the machinery keeping him alive, he's pursuing the dire wraiths, throughout the galaxy. Now, here is what I was talking about. This is the biggest BS in all of comics, and even as a kid, I didn't buy it. So Rom explains that he didn't kill those people. These people were dire wraiths. They transformed into humans, and when he blasted them, it banished them to a phantom dimension of limbo. So when he shot them with the neutralizer, and they screamed in agony, and their bodies got ripped apart and left with ashes, they didn't die. They got transported to limbo, because Parker Brothers must have been like, no killing. But it's a distinction without difference, right? They're dead. And I love that later, spoiler alert, somewhere down the line, they had the dire wraiths escape from limbo, and it was just a free-for-all, which, and then I think Rom had to actually kill them. But this is just a workaround of no killing, but it's killing. It's just, it's like a, Adam Warlock put people into the soul gem. He killed them, and now what's going on? they're getting shot at by the military. So here comes the military. Now remember, why did the military respond so fast? Because the dire wraiths infiltrated the military. And I love all of these shape-shifting aliens. They're commies. They're dirty, dirty commies. They so the dire wraiths, they land and they take over, you know. She went to school with these guys. Well, she went to school with the humans who are now dead and were replaced by dire wraiths. It's the oldest trope, and it's really terrifying, you know. And they've been doing it in all these science fiction stuff since science fiction emerged. It's such a scary, it's a fundamentally fearful thing, like the invasion of the body snatchers or changelings. Just the whole concept of changelings in the olden days of yore. You know, it's just so terrifying to think that there's invaders who trick us among us. It's a terrifying, scary, scary concept. So Rob pulls out the analyzer, and you know, you think such an advanced race could make one weapon that has 3 switches on it, but the toy had 3 toys. They got to give you your money's worth. So the comic has 3 different toys. So you know, so this Bill Nye the Science Guy over here is they're freaking out. No, it's the energy analyzer. You know, they know. So did I skip the page? Yes, I skipped ads. So get some Whoppers over here. Kiss poster, Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, Cheryl Teague, Suzanne Summers. And this I thought was really cool. Get your own picture on a baseball card. What kid wouldn't have loved that? Wouldn't, you know, just slip it in there with all your Bill, what's his name? Bill Shabotnik. A no prize to whoever knows who Bill Shabotnik is. So boom, boom, the tanks are firing on him. And what does it say? I thought it, you know, he's got this Galdorite, whatever armor on, so he just smashes. So Rom is like Hulk level strength. They put him at like 100+ ton category strength. And you know, guy comes with a flamethrower. Look at, he's just walking through the flames. You cannot harm me. I've walked through the hearts of suns. You know, the standard superhero response. You know, Rom is just picking up a tank. You know, we got this evil, you know, what's the woman's, Miss Grundy from Archie. This panel I love. Boom, boom, boom. They're shooting him, and he just smashes the tank on top of the other tank, and then they show the soldiers leaving because can't have, you know, you can't have the superhero killing humans. You know what I mean? He's supposed to be. He defeated the Deathwing because of like his noble, pure spirit. You can't have him killing soldiers. We got, you know, 50 caliber machine gun, and he just smashes the gun. So, so I got caught up in this. I forgot. So Marcus's wife loves Scooby-Doo. I think my wife likes it too. That's cool. We're laughing at you, Marcus. Consider myself very lucky to have seen the original when it opened the summer of '77. What? You saw what? Oh, Star Wars. Yeah, I saw Star Wars. My brother took me to see Star Wars for the first time. When he saw Star Wars, he was like, "John's got to see this. John's got to see this." And I saw Star Wars. My family, we went to a drive-through. It was a double feature of The War of the Worlds and Star Wars, and then it came to my local second run theater, and it was like $1, and I went every day. I'm not joking. I must have seen the original Star Wars like 27 times in the movie theater. I'm not joking. The number 27 always stuck in my head. But Marcus meant to say about your ISIS comp. Oh, okay. Yes, Rom is tapping into the Phantom Zone. Yeah, tapping into the Phantom Zone. So Rom is smashing, and then we got the first official Marvel comic. Micronauts, Michael Golden artwork. And then we got June Jitsu. So Spider-Man is coming home with his lunch, and he gets attacked by June Jitsu. What's wrong with June Jitsu? What are you, a racist? So Junjitsu is just kicking Spider-Man in the face. So Spider-Man's just like, yo, 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 it must be that time of the month. You know, have some Twinkies. Have some Twinkies, you know. And then she says, oh, we love these Twinkies a long time. And then he ties her up in spanking position. There you go. There you go. Junjitsu. God, I would love to have Junjitsu reappear in a Marvel comic right now. Just show up. That would be awesome. Drive-ins, always great camping movie. Yeah, I love the original H.G. Wells. That was a lot of fun. My whole family in Stationway. That was fun. Sal Buscema inking his own work gave him the edge that inkers didn't, except possibly Aiken and Garvey. Pinima is laughing at my reading of Junjitsu. So now we got soldiers like, what are we going to do? And this guy pulls out this freaking bizarre little snub-nosed weirdo gun that fires a green Zraki laser, and boom, it hurts. It hurts Rom. He's like, that has to be a Wraith weapon wielded by human guys. That is the truth you will never live to reveal, Galadorian. So what does Rom do? Just blasts him, rips his body apart, causes fire, leaves ash. You know, but he's not dead. Does anybody else besides me find that to be like the funniest thing? It's just like, your body dies screaming, developing flame. We ripped apart, but you're not dead. But you're not dead. You just vanished. You know, it's like something. Don't worry, Mom. He's not dead. I didn't just kill this guy. I banished him to limbo. You're right. You know, because the Galadorians are good guys. They don't kill. They just rip your body in horrible terror and pain and screaming in agony and fire, and you know. But you go to limbo. But you go to limbo. So we didn't really kill you. It's just the funniest thing. So now Brandy is horrified. She's going to get the weapon. And big old fat guy, disgusting looking, you know, Sal Buscema shorthand. You know, the ugly guys are always the bad guys. Rom spins. And now there's just 3 piles of ashes. Don't worry, they're not dead. They just screamed, burst into flame, and died in agony. But they're not dead. And then Mrs. Grundy over here is like, you have done right for your race, but my people will not forget. And now Rom rockets off. And Brandy is like, he's gone out without a word. What's going on? Yes. And now the worst reveal in the world, that Mrs. Grundy is a Diarath, and she flies. My love betrayed. And now we got this silly sweepstakes, and here we have the actual toy ad. So the toy ad is talking about the comic. Yeah, Parker Brothers. Oh, you can't see. It's Parker Brothers, which again freaked me out because Parker Brothers was known for board games. You know, so it kind of confused me. And these lights would alternate. Beep, 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 beep. I think just the arms would go up and down. And I think the legs were stiff. You know, so it was just like this big mold, and then the arms would go up and down. So it had the energy analyzer, the translator, and then the neutralizer. And okay. Rom's new weapon is the neutralizer. It flashes, it makes electronic zapping sounds. Pretend it sends evil creatures to the shadow zone. Okay, so I guess that shadow zone comment was built into the toys, a mandate by Parker. Well, I knew it was a mandate by the toy company that Rom doesn't kill, because you can't have an evil robot from space murdering humans. So almost had a Sergeant Rock vibe at the end. Kinda. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Yes. It's such a trope of aliens taking over human. It was great. My mom was upset Rom was killing, but that technically let her. Oh, okay. So there it worked. We got proof. Feldspug's mom wouldn't let him, you know. So let me. So you got a good. You brought up something that I'm curious about. Did your parents read your comics before they let you read them? Like, did they approve? Did your parents watch your cartoons before they let you watch it? Do you, as parents, read your stuff before your kids do? I'm curious. I don't have kids, and my parents, I was that free range kid. My mom was when I was a wee one. My mom was home, but I think somewhere around like sixth grade, my mom got a job. And my mom had this job so long that she got a pension when she retired. You know what I mean? My my dad, he was working all the time. So I'm just curious now. Like when I hear my friends talking about, oh yeah, you know, with playing with my kids and doing like playing with your kids, when my dad came home from work, we didn't bother him. Last thing I did, dad worked overtime, worked double shift. I ain't bothering him. You know, very rarely did we do anything like that. Uh, so Felsbug says no, your parents didn't read. Nobody has accused Mantlo of originality, but it was still awesome. I showed my mom the book because I was so excited. I was 6 or 7. Okay, so yeah, my parents were just excited that I was reading because I literally couldn't read, and comics got me to read, and I never stopped. I was restricted to Donald Duck and G.I. Joe until my teen years. I remember my father, I subscribed to Doctor Strange because Doctor Strange was really tough. I think I subscribed to 2 comics in my life, Doctor Strange being one of them. And the very first issue, my mom was like, what is it? You got comic in the mail? And, it had like a brown paper bag, so it looked like a dirty magazine. My father, let me see. And Clea was all dressed all sexy. My father's like, I like the way they draw the women in these comics, So there you go. So, anybody, any other comments? Rom the Space Knight? Well, I will check out some of the links that were sent to me. I will set up the streams, and I will pretty much take it easy today. So I'm just looking at my phone to see what are the. Okay, so Friday, Tuesday at 7 p.m. I'll have Pete Zametti, Rob Geronimo, and Kier Covington talking about Blood Moon. They're going to come on my channel. That's Tuesday at 7 p.m. Wednesday at 7 p.m. I have Shadowmare Comics, conversation with him. And then at 8:30, I'll go over to the Fourth Age. This is RJ's week to host. We'll do a comic book team up, and I don't know who the guest is. And that's all I have scheduled this week. So I have time this week. So maybe I'll do Comics Great, The Elementals 6 to 10. And if RR is still here, just giving you the heads up. Maybe I'll do some more. I'd like to do more of that Marvel United board game, and I got 9 days left of pushing Heroic Tales on Kickstarter, and then I'll start the Indiegogo. So there you go. That's there you go. I filter everything my son watches because it's 2024. Yes, good job. Yeah. My mom was almost militant about reading. In grade school, they would pass out flyers with Scholastic Book of the Month. She would grab comics for me. Good. That is awesome. I remember those Scholastic flyers. I used to love them. Rom was the best. Again, this comic really holds up. Cartoons in the 70s and 80s weren't what they were now. Yeah, there were toy commercials back then. There were inoffensive toy commercials, and everybody understood that. And some of them rose to actually be good. Most of them it was just a vast wasteland of toy commercials. I had to watch what my daughter was seeing on Cartoon Network in the early 2000s. I absolutely agree. Stupid cartoons came out. I banned her from Ed. Oh, why Ed and Eddie? I never watched it, so I'm not questioning your parenting. I'm just curious why. My dad read all my comics electric. Yeah, Marcus, you're one of the few people that I know whose father was into comics. That's pretty cool. That must have been a good bonding thing. My dad dishes out a fate. Rom dishes out a fate worse than death. I know. Yeah. Like, so when you go to limbo, like, do you have to farm? Do you have to build shelter? Or are you just a spirit floating? So it's just another afterlife. You're dead. It's just another afterlife. Like if humans go to limbo, could they die in limbo? You know what I mean? Like, did the Galadorians build like facilities for all the people in limbo? Do they bodily go, or in a physical? It's just a workaround for murder. Ed and Eddie was really bad. This is the first I'm hearing about it because I didn't watch it. My dad didn't read my comics, but he would take me to Forbidden Planet in Manhattan. I keep forgetting that you're a fellow New Yorker. And drive me to my local comic shop. What was the name of your local comic shop? What was the name of your? But I also read lots of books. I read everything: books, novels, nonfiction. Yeah, Logic. I know we. What was the name of your local comic shop? So there we go. 1 hour, 11 minutes. Bunch of people, and as always, I keep talking until the comments dying down. Just gonna take a sip of Arizona iced tea because my coffee cup is empty. 2001, my daughter was 5, and I started seeing the rise of dumb cartoons. I totally agree. A lot of these children's cartoons were filled with agenda, and like around 2001, I'd like forgive it as like, I don't know, but like somewhere around 2015, it was they were making no bones about the agenda in the cartoons. Ooh, Rom, never read the whole series. It's 75 issues. It holds up. Holds up. You get some good stuff in there. All right. I guess we're winding down. Thanks a lot, everybody. I don't know what. I really want to hold off the Microdots until Kelsey Shannon sees his shadow. But I just so tempted. I wanted to do the Marcus. Which issue of Strange Tales has the Doctor Strange story when he goes into the haunted house? Which issue is that? Which issue is that? Logic's Finest. My local comic shop was Mike's Comic Hut on Northern Boulevard in Bayside, Queens. Oh, I never went there. What year did it close? I assume it closed. But I didn't go. I didn't venture into Bayside, Queens for comics when I was a kid. There was a lot of them in Nassau County. Good meeting, everyone. Good meeting you too, Dan. I heard about the Comic Hut. I think I might have been there. Our friend would tell me tales about the Comic Hut, and this was in Woodmere. My comic store was the Incredible Pulp, and then I would go to Cosmic Comics, and then in Queens I would go to Crazy Scondos once in a while. What else did I go to? There was a third one that I would go to. It was half the store was knives and half the store was comics. Why can't it? Stinkies Comics and the Bladesman. It was one store. They split the rent. Yeah, that was fun. And there was a few other comics. Fourth World, which is still here. Comic Book Hut, the Mets. All right. So looks like we're ending. Oh, just as I say that, they pulled me back in. Mike's Comic Hut closed in the mid-'90s, sadly, but my dad took me to Forbidden Planet, Manhattan, once a month until I was a teen and could ride the subway alone. That is nice. That is nice. That is really cool. Mine was the Cosmic Comics in Woodmere. John, ask your friend again if he had a temporary Cosmic Comics in Woodmere. No, the Cosmic Comics that I went to was in Rockville Center, and then it switched over to Oceanside. There was a Cosmic Comics in Woodmere. That's news to me. That's news to me. In Woodmere, I know that there was a comic book store, and if I remember correctly, it was a really big Jewish community, like Orthodox Jewish community. And if this is the same store that I'm thinking of, it was like next to a Ben's Kosher Deli, and like all the stores in that strip mall would close on Saturday for the Sabbath, but the comic book store would be open. He wasn't Jewish, and every once in a while, you know, the Reservoir Dogs, you know, the black suits and the hats and everything, they would pressure him to close. It's offensive to us to close on Saturday, and he goes, "Dude, I'm not Jewish. This is America. I'm going to stay open." You know, because this is my best day of the week. Yeah, I'm a retailer. You know, and he say, "Pay me $1,000 and I'll close on Saturdays. Pay me $1,000 and I'll close on Saturdays." You know, and every once in a while they would try to pressure people. Now, Strange Tales number 110 was the first appearance of Doctor Strange. You know, so which is the one that had the haunted house? You know, because that's the one I want to. That's the one I want to showcase. Yeah, Woodmere was predominantly Jewish, so more so now. Cosmic Comics was behind the storefront. It was a hidden gem. I wonder if we're talking about the same store. Forbidden Planet was the comics mecca of New York City. Yep, it was mostly Funko Pop, manga, and games now, like most yeah. Forbidden Planet was that was like a go to Forbidden Planet was like a great excursion. And there was another game store right on the shadow of the Empire State Building. Why can't I think of the name of the game store? But that's going to drive me nuts. But there was a board game store, and then Forbidden Planet, and then Jim Hanley's Universe. They were like the three that I used to go to all the time. First comic shop was Heroes World in the Galleria Mall in White Plains. That was the first comic shop of all, or your first comic shop? Because if that's the first comic shop, that's a real cool bit of trivia to know. Comic shops sell comic books. Yeah. There's a comic book store in the mall that my wife and I go to. There's an arcade, like you pay $20 and you play pinball or whatever you play. My wife and I like to go there, and there's a comic book store there, and they just have you pass by T-shirts, you pass by albums, you know, record albums, CDs, then like tchotchkes and stuff like that. And then all the way in the back, there's comic books, and it's not even back issues. Forbidden Planet had the coolest bag for your comics. The images was online. Yeah, I remember. Oh, your first comic shop. I got to look up where was the first direct market comic book store. Didn't Heroes World used to advertise in comics? Yeah, I remember there being a Heroes World ad. I don't know if it's that Heroes World. You know, they would list regional comic stores. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. All right. That's the show. I want to go get my breakfast. I just heard my stomach rambling. My coffee cup is empty. Can't suffer an empty coffee cup. Got to go refill that. So thanks a lot, everybody. This is so much fun. I say this with all. This is like, I don't want to say this is my favorite anymore because I really enjoy like Two Beards One Comic talking with Kelsey. But this is what I envision my channel to be, talking about comics with the live audience. I just don't invite anybody on for this because I do like this dynamic for Sunday Comics. Plus, I'm not really awake yet, so it would be, I don't know. But I enjoy this. We'll see Pizza Medi on Tuesday, Shadowmere Comics on Wednesday, and that's all I have scheduled for this week. So, you know, Logic, you want to come on this? This is a good week. I got a light week this week. If you want to come on and talk about John Byrne. Midtown Comics has 2 locations. Sells mostly games, toys. Yeah. Later, all the location across from them is mostly back issues. Yes. Richard Friend is back to streaming somewhat. I don't know who Richard Friend is. When is the next Kelsey stream? Good question. I think, Kelsey has retreated into the bayou of swamps, and he has submerged. I don't know. Suppose Kelsey does that. He goes into, you know, he is an extreme introvert. Like I said, we talked a few times, you know, even after, and he says it's difficult for him to do live streams, and not to pat myself on the back, but he said he liked talking with me, you know, because we kept it drama free and just talked about comics. We were focused on something besides the meta world, you know. So it was but he just went cold turkey. disappeared. I know that there's an illness in his family. A family member is sick, so I hope everything's okay. But I haven't heard from him. I know he doesn't have a cell phone. He only does. I think he has a landline and an old computer, but that's about it. All right. So if anybody hears from Kelsey, just tell him I was asking for him. Hope everything's okay. I just woke up, recognized Rom had to click. It's Matt time. Yep. And we're winding down. I'm just saying goodbye. What about it's clobber time? Oh, yeah, clobber time is great. That's right. That's right. I got to make the stream. Thank you, Marcus. It's clobbering time. I sent my wife an image. She makes those little mashup things for because I'm computer illiterate. So Friday at 8 p.m. It's clobbering time. It's Silver Surfer versus Green Lantern. Yeah, Kelsey's in his cocoon like Mothra. Yes. He's gonna come out with big, beautiful butterfly wings. Richard Friend and Kelsey used to stream together. Richard is an excellent artist who worked in comics now and does commissions. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I didn't know. I'm purposely keeping my bubble limited, and I begrudgingly subscribe to other YouTube channels. I'm like, I guess I have to, because I just takes up so much of your time, and I don't see how people can watch 6-hour live streams every day. I don't know. So I try to keep mine as close to an hour as possible, and then I'm like arrogant enough to think that, okay, they can watch me for an hour and then go about like I'm the only one people watch, but whatever. I if I see a stream is like 4 hours long, I don't watch it. I can't click on it. Who has the time to do that? Not me. All right. But on that note, I'm going to go. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'll see you. I think I'm on somebody else's channel today. I got to look through my messages. I might be on some, and if I am, I'll put it in community notes. Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.